So yesterday, we have seen that, about routing, basically, how can we route the task? I mean, route the task, to some other actor or person, basically, right? I mean, who is actually the, involved in that process. It could be any process. For example, you can route the task to your manager, so to senior manager, or to the HR team, or any team, basically, depending upon your process and requirement. So that's something, we have it, in Pega we have something called as routing. And then in the routing, in two ways that we can do the routing in Pega. One is a work list. Work list means directly, like if I know the person, like whom I have to route it to, we can directly route that task or the assignment to his work list. But there is one more way, which is called as a work queue or a work basket. So that is something called as, let's say, there are, a group of people, who are actually doing that, who can do that job. Any one of them can do the job. For example, we are three of us, are from the same department, and we can just basically, I mean, whatever the work comes, depending upon, the workload, we can just take the task, basically, that is something, called as a work basket or a work here. Okay, and then we have seen that, in work object, we can have multiple assignments, and then all these assignments can be stored in two tables in Pega. These are this table, I mean, if it's a work queue table, if the assignment has been routed to work queue, then the Pega creates an instance of assign dash work basket class, and those instances get stored in this table, the PC assign work basket table. And whereas if there is a assignment which has been routed to work list, then that the Pega create instance of this class, like assign dash work list class, and these instances, basically, they are stored in this PC assign work list table. Okay, like that. So so that is how, basically, the Pega has Pega, the route, or store the assignments in the in these two tables, depending upon where basically that you are routing to. Okay, and then in a similar way, our instances, right? Whatever the instances that we are creating, like loan process instances, so basically those are also getting stored in a table, right? I mean, now yesterday I've shown you, right, how to check whether which let's say I want to find out, okay, this loan process instances are getting saved into which table. So what that you need to do is, you need to just go to that class and open that class. Okay, and just remember that, whenever you're creating instances of any class, that class has to be a concrete, so I mean, or, because for the concrete class only, you can create instances. Otherwise, for the abstract class, because there are two options here, abstract and concrete. Okay, so now then just go down, and then there will be a button or a section, which is called as a text connection. So just click on that button. The Pega will tell you, Pega will tell you about the table name, what that table name is. Okay, and in fact, in the database name also the Pega will give, and the schema also, everything the Pega will tell you about that. Okay, and then in this account opening also, like I've just pasted it over here, so this was a table name for the loan application, and as well as for the account opening work class also, it's the same table, and so there is a reason behind it, why, the Pega has created the same table for both of these work types, basically. So now this is called as, basically, this is called as, BOA dash loan application work. Till here, this is called as basically work pool or a class group. If you can call it, anything like a work pool or a class group. And then these are, so now under this class group, we have account opening, loan process. These are called work types, a type of work, right? I mean, like that, the type work type. So all these would, so now if I'll open account opening class also, so now you can see here, I mean, and I can see here this class, what this class you are saying, right? This account opening class. So if in the settings section, we have given the version of the class, and then we have seen that this class belongs to a class group. Okay, so what is a class group? So this is the class group. Whereas So in the similar way, the loan process class also, if you see here, this class is belongs to a class group, and which class group? Class group name is BOA dash, the same class group. So and it because of this, because of this, both the classes are getting stored in the same table. And which table? Basically, if you open this class group class, so if you open it from here, so now if you go to the test connection, so you can see here it's the same table, where this, so now let's say if I'll copy the full class. Okay, here it is. So now you can see here this class, this is a class group, right? And it's mapped to the same table like PCBOA loan application work, where this class, loan application and account opening class is mapped to. So that is the reason, so that is the meaning of a class group. And that is what, we have a class group. Again, a very important concept in Pega. Why class group, and again, a very favorite question of interviewer. So now, and now in the class group, or it is also called a work pool. So a work pool. So this is nothing but this is a group of class, is a group of classes whose instances, get stored in a single table where this class group is mapped to. Map to. So map to means, like, for example, this class group is mapped to let's say this class group is mapped to let's say a sample table. Let's say sample table. This is let's say like that. So now what will happen is these two, both the classes, now you can see here, sorry, both the classes are mapped to this account opening class, and as well as this loan application class. Both of them belongs to this class group, right? So what will happen is this two class also, these two classes also, will get automatically will map to this table only, sample table. Then again, if in future I change this to, so let's say a test table, like that. So the Pega will change the mapping of these tables to, it will change to test and test. Why? Because the definition says that, because the definition, it says that this class group, also, like these classes, basically like account opening and loan process classes, basically belongs to this class group. So that is the reason both the instances, whatever, if you create in future, we create loan process or account opening, so both the instances basically get stored in a same table, in a similar table. But yeah, but we have option, if you see here this class, so if you have option to change this, I mean, by default the Pega does this, but you have option to make it different way also. Like you can say that no, it's an independent class, doesn't belong to any class group and all those things. So basically we do it with the data classes. So if you remember, right, I mean, for the single page and page list page group, for creating that, we have created a single, it's a data class. And basically, in that cases, you can just say that, does not belongs to a class group. And also we can say that is a class group, this class itself act as a class group. So this was option that we selected, when, let's say, for example, let's say, I mean, I mean, now in future, let's say, we have three more, four to five process also. So all the processes, let's say, we store it in the same table. So there is a chances that, it can impact our performance, right? Let's say, for example, like, if, let's say, every, let's say, I mean, every day, let's say, account, how, like, lakhs of applications are coming for account opening and lakhs of applications are coming for a loan. So, and both the instances we are storing in the same table. So when we report it, or when we write something, when we show all the details on the UI, so it will take a lot of time to basically, get the data from the DB, because it's a, I mean, because our DB will be very heavy, with all the data. So in that case, basically what we can do that, again, depending upon your requirement, you can create a separate table for loan process and separate table for account opening. Both these classes, so that you can create, so that, and then you can map this class to that newly created table. So that like, whenever and before creating mapping this class to newly created table, you have to go to your class and you have to select this option, is a class group. Otherwise, you won't be able to do that. If you say that, belongs to a class group and class group is this, then you won't be able to map this class to a separate table, basically. Okay, so you have to just remember that, like that. So this is something important step that you have to do it, before mapping it to. So now what will happen? So if you have mapped this account, no, sorry, loan process to a separate table, so what will happen is like, so whenever we create any instance or whenever we create any loan process case, so this case basically like, loan process case will get stored in their respective table, and account opening instances will get stored in their respective table. So we don't have to be, store entire thing in a one table and all these things. So again, I mean, it's not hard and fast hard and fast that we have to do this. I mean, if you see, I mean, depending again your requirement, some application you will see that all your work types will be belongs to a class group, and some application you will see that I mean, for each work type, there will be a separate like a separate like a table that they're mapped to, like that. So depending again your requirement, like how that you want to design, your structure, class structure, and all these things, a table structure and all these things. Basically, this is a responsibility of your lead, like who is your leading your team. So he will decide basically like all these things are needed or not, so that so that he can just decide basically, I mean, just to improve the performance. Let's say if the performance are hitting and all these things. So these are the steps basically, you can take it, in your application. Like, what is routing, right? I mean, now that now if you see the process now, if you run it, so what will happen is now if let's say I'm applying for a loan, I'll enter my details, I'll enter my phone number, email ID, and all these things. I'll just submit the screen. Okay, I'll submit the screen or full action. Then I'll go to next screen. I can say, okay, this was loan that I needed. Okay, and then I'll say continue. Then after that, what we are doing, we are routing that assignment to this person, like LA manager. And so like that. So now let's say like we are routing the task to you. Let's say like I mean your manager has routed the task to you, and then you are like let's say or let's say like for example let's say you only and then you have not done that work in 2-3 days and all these things, it's your that assignment is still pending on your name. So it should not happen, right? I mean, there should be some system, right? There should be some system, right? I mean, which will notify your manager saying that okay, like this assignment has been routed to Pankaj, and but he it's been like 5 hours passed, but still no action has been taken on this particular assignment. Let's say like after that we and let's say the next day also I didn't work on that assignment. Again, there should be one notification should go to the manager saying that okay, so like still it's one day 24 hours done, but still there is no action done on this particular assignment. And then also I can get a notification, I can also get a notification saying that this is a this task that have not been taken care of it, basically. So like that, so that is something we have to monitor it, right? And but so that is something like, of course it's not a no, of course the manager can monitor it, I mean, but it's tough here, right, for the manager to monitor each and everything, like because manager has to handle many team members, and many team members will have many tasks. So it will be very difficult, for him to monitor each and every task or assignment, basically, like are they everything has been completed timely or not, and all these things. So for that in Pega, again, like no, it's a common term. You might have heard about this term, right? SLA, right? Have you heard about this term? Service level agreement, right? So it is a common term, right? Yeah. So right. So now this something, right? I mean, we just do it like for the monitoring way, like just to indicate whether just to see whether the task or assignment has been completed on a timely basis or not. All right. So again, not specific to this term is not specific to Pega. I mean, in any other technologies also we might have seen this, SLA and all these things. And in fact, everywhere that we have SLA, like for example, let's say let's say, you have raised one complaint, and then that complaint has to be completed in 3 days. Or it has to be rectified 24 hours. I mean, for that, we can't assign one person to check, okay, that this person, I mean, or that work has, or that complaint has been closed in that 24 hours or not. So for that, we have SLA, like in many technologies. So in Pega also we have that. So we'll see that how to configure SLA in Pega. So basically now, of course, we know that just to monitor the task, basically to monitor the task, whether it is getting completed on the timely basis. Okay, so now we have, right, so now we'll go to our case type, and then okay, so now let's say, for example, I want to monitor this assignment. Of course, this will get routed to the manager. So now I want to I want to see that, okay, so as soon as our manager, or let's say bank representative, I mean, they, if any loan application comes to any loan that loan representative, then he has to take some action on this particular assignment, within 2 hours, 4 hours, like that, so that. So now if you double click on it, assignment, and if you see here, yesterday we have discussed about routing. So if we just come down below, you can see there is one rule which is called as a service level agreement, right? So after this is again a different type of a rule, that you have to create in Pega again. So so again, this comes under a process category. So if you just go hit down and then do a right click, and you can just say that, okay, so depending upon which class that you want to create it, very similar way. So either you can just create it from here, or else you can just type it from here also. Like, let's say, for example, monitor uh, approved assignment, like that. Okay, so here we go. So this is, this is how your SLA looks like. Okay, so now initial urgency, we have something called as urgency. Urgency means, of course, the term, it's not at all new, it's a common English term. Urgency means which task is urgent. So how will I know which task is urgent? So now this we can just determine, I can determine, let's say I have 10 tasks to do. So which task that I have to take it first? So that, how will I get to know that? So this we can get to know with this urgency number. For example, if I'll say that urgency is, now initial urgency is, let's say if I'll say 10, okay, and then after that, let's say this SLA should start immediately as soon as this assignment, as soon as the task comes to this assignment, it should be triggered. I mean, it should run it. And then after that, we have divided SLA into two parts, and three parts in Pega. One is goal, then we have deadline, and then we have past deadline. Okay, so these are the three timeline that we have divided basically. The goal means, the task should be completed, task or assignment, should be completed within this time. And then the deadline means it has to be, must be, this task, task, must be completed within this timeline. Okay, and then the past deadline means, again, it should be on all these things. So basically, it has to be in all these things. So there are many ways that we can do it. So then, so what, you can see a goal. I mean, goal time, let's say now this assignment has to be any bank representative, let's say, they have to complete everything on timely basis. Okay, so now we can say that, let's say I mean, for now, depending upon your requirement, you can just select that goal deadline and past deadline. For now, I'm selecting 1 minute. Okay, that, 1 minute, if he didn't perform anything within 1 minute, then we'll increase the urgency to 10 ml like that. Okay, and then after that you can see there are many actions that also you can perform, like you can notify the manager, you can notify the assignee. I mean, for example, let's say if I do notify assignee, that means that that one notification will come to me saying that, okay, like you, there is one a task has been assigned to you, and that has reached the goal time. So like that, so that also we can do that, again depending upon your requirement. And then 1 minute, if let's say if I didn't perform anything in 1 minute, then Pega will go here to see, okay, is there any deadline? Is there or not? So let's say deadline means, let's say it's 2 minutes. In 2 minutes I have to complete it. Like I mean, I should be able to complete that task. Then let's say if I didn't perform it, let's say again I increase urgency to 20. Okay, and again we have some different actions here which you can perform, like all these things, like you can call the flow or different activity that you can run it basically. So for now I'm not doing anything over here. And then again, like you can just, if let's say for the 7 days that you have to complete the work, then you can include the business days calendar also, like of course it will not calculate weekends and all those things. Okay, and then the past deadline. Past deadline means that there's a extra feature that in the past deadline is you can repeat this deadline. Repeat means, let's say, like I just want to repeat this deadline for 3 times, and the past deadline for 3 times, and every 1 minute it has to repeat, and every 1 minute I have to increase urgency to 10. Okay, so like that. And again, I can, if I want to, every 1 minute I want to notify that particular assignee, so that is also we can do it. Okay, like that. Okay, so now, okay, now like I'll show you practically too. So now, like so our SLA is ready. So now, and then I'll just save it. Okay, and I'll submit this. Okay, so now, and you can see that clock icon here, that means that there is a SLA over here. Okay, so now you can, okay, so if I just quickly go to that screen. Okay, so now here I am. So now you can see here, I mean, due 2 minutes from now. Okay, so now we have seen that, right? Yesterday, like, this is assignment, and we have directly routed to a work list. So that means Pega will create an instance of assign dash work list class, right? So now if I click on this assign dash work list class, so you can see here the Pega has created one assignment in that assignment table, or created an instance. So now I can see here everything is like our work object ID or case ID. You can see here 17013. So that is 17013, and the flow name is this, and everything is this. And you can see here urgency of this assignment. So with this urgency, I can get to know that, okay, like which one that I have to perform. Okay, like sorry, I just filtered it. Okay, refresh. Okay, yeah. So, and then like, so with this, I can just get to know that, like, okay, so this is the task that I have to perform. So why it's 20? So by default, Pega set the urgency to 10. And then why it's 20? Because already a 10 is the by default urgency will be there. Then as soon as the SLA starts, like, what did I say? That, urgency should, as soon as the assignment is set, I mean, or as this SLA will run, that Pega should increase the urgency to another 10, like 10 plus 10, that is 20. And now let's say now the time is 9:25. So now let's wait for we wait for like another minute, just to see like how much is the urgency now. So now let's say like 2026, that we are expecting that that if I didn't perform the task, because in 1 minute, so now the Pega will increase the urgency to 10. 10 means that, now already the urgency is 20, then it will increase it to 30. Okay, and then again another 2 minutes, if I didn't perform any task on that, let's say 26, right? So 27, 20, no, 9:27, still like I didn't perform any task, then that urgency should increase to 50. Sorry, 20. So 20 means already 30 is there, and 30 plus 20, that will be 50. Okay, and then after that, like if after 2 minutes also I didn't perform any task, so that increase, like this like that the Pega will come here, and after 1 minute, like no, the Pega will increase the urgency to 10. I mean, like again 50 plus 60, and then I'm saying it has to repeat 3 times. All right. So now again another 1 minute, the Pega will increase the urgency to 10. That is like 60 plus 10, like 70. And then again it will repeat because three time it has to repeat. Again, let's say I didn't perform on that particular assignment, or I didn't work on that particular assignment, then again third time also it will repeat and increase the urgency to 10, again it will be 80, somewhere around that. So again it's 2 9 27. So let's see what's our urgency. Okay, you can see here urgency is 60. Okay, so you can see here now that how the Pega has increased urgency to 60. So like this way, basically I can get to know that. Let's say like this is my, and let's say imagine that I have to work, and this is my work list, and let's say the top 10 tasks that I have to work on it. So by looking at this urgency, I can see that, oh, okay, like this is urgency 60. That means this is the top priority task. Then I'll open this task and I'll wrap it this task first, like that, so something. And depending upon this, and let's say the manager has to monitor the task. So what he can do is he can just see that, okay, he can just view that all the tasks, and he can see that, okay, this is the top urgency is like 60, like, and normally, and we don't go exceed to 100. I mean, we just keep the number only till 100. Okay, so now let's say 100 means that means that that is the most critical task, basically, that will become by default. So again, the Pega manager will say, okay, this is all the task urgency is 10 10 10. That means not I mean it's not the priority task, but this task is 60. That means it has to be worked by this Pankaj, then he can just ping me, and he can tell me in in three, or call me something, saying that this task has to be completed and all these things. So like that. So this is how basically our SLA works in Pega. So like that. Okay, so another. Okay. So, and now it says 3 minutes ago. Okay. Did you okay. So that is something okay. So that is the next topic that I wanted to cover. Okay. So now, for example, a goal and deadline. Okay. So now, okay. So already have written it. So now, for example, let's say goal is, goal I've given what, 1 minute, right? And then the deadline I've given 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. And then, okay, past deadline, I've given 3 minutes. Okay, let's say 1 minute I've given. Okay, so now what will happen now? Let's say assignment has come at, let's say 9:30. Okay, 9:30 that assignment has reached. So the goal time, and can you tell me at what time the goal time will reach? Right, and then at what time the deadline will reach? 9:32, right? So, oh, sorry, it's 9:31. Okay, and it will reach at 9:31, basically. Goal time will reach at 9:31. Because assignment is reached, right? So as soon as assignment reaches, so the Pega will not call this. Pega will not call this goal line. Goal line. The goal will call only when after 1 minute. After 1 minute means 9:30 is the time, right? So now 30 means 9:31. The goal time will call, and then it will increase urgency. So now that deadline. So what will be the deadline time then? Exactly, simply that you do. So what I want to say here is both Pega actually, though, and why I'm given 2 minutes here is because Pega starts both goal and deadline at the same time. It will not happen that Pega starts the goal deadline after the goal. Okay, the goal time has reached, basically, or completed. So Pega, basically, as soon as, let's say, the assignment has reached, so Pega will say, okay, what is what is the deadline? So that means that it will call both the timeline at a time. So the Pega, that's the reason it will take this one, whatever that given in the deadline, like that. So both, the timeline basically starts at the same time. 9:30 means 9:30, like that. But after deadline, so deadline means it will reach at a, I mean, after, let's say, 9:33 only. Sorry, 9:33. So like that. So it basically behaves like this. So it acts like this. So both, so again, this is I mean, very, I mean, important question of interviewer. They normally give this kind of a scenario, and then again, there is like like that. So If it reaches at 9:30, so at what time the goal will reach and what time the deadline will reach. So basically, like, this is again, that comes a tricky question where in which, like, you just have to remember that the both deadline and goal both start at the same time. So, for example, let's say I have given goal as 2 minutes and the four deadline as 4 minutes. So it's not that, the goal time, of course, it will reach at 9:32, but deadline will reach at 9:34 only, not 9:36. Okay, so like that. So this is something, which is actually, we have to, like, I mean, remember like that. So that is the reason that, whatever that you give with the deadline, the Pega will take that as a deadline. But only one thing that you can do is a goal time means, like, at least you can increase the urgency, or you can even notify it saying that, okay, already the goal has reached, something like that already, like, one time, like, that is, I said, like, goal is something, it should be completed. I mean, actually it should be completed, but good deadline means it must be, completed, like that. So this is something, deadline, you can't do that. I mean, in many rare cases, like, I mean, let's say I'm on leave for 2 to 3 days and all these things, it might can happen that, it reaches the past deadline and all these things. But again, like that. So this is how basically it reaches, and again, you can just monitor it, like, how would they increase, depending upon your practice and all these things. You can just also route the assignment to work list. So if you have routed to a work list, then you can monitor. You have to open this assign dash work list one. So you can see here urgency now it's 80. Earlier it was 60. Okay, so now it will not go more than 80 because we didn't set anything over here like that. Okay, so but let's say if you have routed the task to a work basket, then you have to open this one, and then you can see here. Here also you can see the urgency. For example, it's 100, 70, 70, like that. So this means we can say that, okay, like, this is the top priority task that, which we need to take it first, when compared to this, like that. Or like, for example, let's say again, this task is again, written in the top, but we can't take this, like, we have to, I mean, I have to take these three tasks first, then I can take up this task, like that. So depending upon your urgency, I mean, the rate or how the score, you can basically uh, take up the task, and in your manager also can route it, so in the similar way. And of course, and then we can send the notification to, and there are many actions to that, we can perform it, like, we can call some other flow, again, like, again, depending upon your requirement, what action that you have to do it, you can do that. And just to, like, I've taken the minute time because so that, I can show you the how that, it has this urgency is, how this urgency is getting, increased. Otherwise, if I'll keep the days here, so, I have to show, like, I would have been able to show the, increasing of this urgency, in the same session, basically. So that is the reason, I've taken as a minute for that. But of course, in the real time, we go with the days and hours, like that. So you can say that, okay, it has to complete in 5 hours, and then you can just keep 24 hours, and, again, and, like that. And if it's a business days, let's say if the task has been routed to me on Friday, then Saturday, Sunday is a weekend time. So that time, that should not get included. So you can just click on this business days, and then how the Pega will know, okay, it's the business days and all these things. So again, like, in our operator ID, we have, specify the calendar. So now based on that calendar, like, we define, like, so here you can see that business calendar. So if you open it, so depending upon your, let's say, project, or depending upon your client, basically, let's say if your client is a US client, and then you can just give all the close days, depending upon the US client. Like, let's say on 20th February, it's a President Day, so you can just give is that holiday, like, okay, that is the holiday. January 1st is a holiday, and all those things. So by default, like, it's a Pega's calendar. So I didn't perform anything. So it's, you can see here the 2014 date is still there. And then, and for example, if it's a Dubai or Saudi Arabia client, normally their weekend is not Friday or Saturday, Sunday. Their weekend is Friday, Saturday. So, and you can say, let's say that, okay, so now, like, my schedule is this, and 8 p.m. to, 8 a.m. to, 5 p.m., like that. So this is how you can configure the calendar also. And that calendar, you can just configure it in their operator ID profile, so that when the case has been routed to me, that the Pega will check, okay, like, let's say I'm working in India. So India means like, let's say we have Holi, like, we have holiday in Holi or Diwali, whatever the festival that we have it. So that close days, we can just mention it over here, Diwali, all the festivals, Pongal, and, and like that. So, and then of course our timings too. So depending upon this, and then time zone, that what time zone that we are working in, like, we can select that particular time zone, like, our Asia, like, our Kolkata, like, our GST and all this timing. So all that thing, basically you can do that. So of course, like, not that, our and that particular person's like, country wise holiday basically. So, and then if let's say if you have a representative sitting in India and as well as sitting in US, then at that time, you have to create two calendars. One is for India, and another one is for, for US basically. And then of course for the time zone, will be different. So like that, again you have to be careful, because let's say, I have given all this data as 2022, like, for example, for all I mentioned all this 2022 date. I mean, this was actually the recent production issue, like, which I've seen. So like what happened there was like, there was a calendar. I mean, of course all the 2022 calendar was there. I mean, the dates was there, all the 2022 dates, basically all the holidays. So but when it came to January 2023, so that notification didn't go to that particular person. Why? Because Pega has checked that, okay, like, he's on holiday and all these things. So, and then that day basically was a holiday, so it's holiday and all these things. So that notification basically didn't go to that particular person. So all these things basically, like, you have to be very careful. Let's say for calendar, it won't change the date automatically for the next year, because next year, we can't say that, right? I mean, Diwali can be on